Hello, this is Scott Wells for themagicwordpodcast.com. This particular video you're watching is a little bit different from the other YouTube videos that we posted because this video is excerpted from episode 712, which was days 1 and 2 from the Texas Association of Magicians 2022 in Fort Worth. In particular, this was the second year in a row the TAOM has asked me to be the host for the stage contest. The problem with the stage contest as far as hosting it is you cannot say anything about the competitors other than just announcing their names. Occasionally say their name and their city, but you can't do anything to encourage applause, nor after they have left to have them come back or to take another bow or anything, or say anything whatsoever, negative, positive, nothing about the acts. As a result, in between, they are also wanting to kill some time while the stage contestants are getting ready for their act. So you've got these changing back and forth behind the curtain. And so having just one MC, oftentimes it's very difficult to have an MC who can do that efficiently. Well, for the last couple of years, what I've been doing is actually having a little content for the podcast. That is, I'll call some of the people who are the talent, some of the registrants even, some of the dealers. I have them come up and talk for what I like to call elevator talks, because they only last 3 to 5 minutes, because I only have a short amount of time before I see that green light, and that means that the stage is ready for me to leave and for me to announce the next stage contestant's name and city. So that's why each of these are so varied, and the idea is it allows the registrants who are in the audience to learn a little bit more about some of the not competitors, but about the talent, some of the other registrants and dealers, etc. And just it's just a lot of fun, and it moves things along. And as it happens, it also gets more attendance for the stage contest. A lot of times at the stage contest, you just have people who are friends or family who come and watch the people they know who are in the contest, and then they leave. But because that I am providing some different content and talking with different people, they stick around for the whole show. I've noticed that by the end of the contest, we have nearly as many people in the contest hall as we do for an evening stage show, because all the registrants pretty much come and watch and listen to the interviews or the conversations that I have with all these people. So again, they're short conversations. And so I'm going to that detail for those of you who might be organizers of magic conventions and do have contests, and you're looking for something a little bit different. Let me raise my hand. Give me a call. Let me know, or drop me an email, and over here at scott@themagicwordpodcast.com, and I will be glad to see if I might be able to work you in my schedule and to be a host for the stage contest. And another thing, of course, what it does is for me, selfishly, I get a little bit of content to provide for you on the podcast. So this way that you get a benefit then as well by hearing the conversations I have with these great conjurers during the stage contest. Well, again, what you're going to be seeing today on this YouTube video are the conversations that I had, again, that you heard on episode number 712. And so they're going to feature some conversations then with Rolando Santos, as well as Trixie Bond, Jay Zugai, Losander, and with Lynetta Welch. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed having a chance to talk with these wonderful conjurers. So, enjoy. We're going to get started this morning with my first guest, is someone who should be familiar to many of you. If you ever watch CNN, he has been behind the scenes. If you read The Linking Ring, he has been behind the scenes. He's been in front of the camera then as well. He was the one who was the CEO of CNN Chile, who got that started down there. He's now retired and living in San Antonio. He's from Eagle Pass originally. There are so many more things that I can say about this great man, aside from being a past international president of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. Please welcome my guest then right now, Rolando Santos. Rolando, you've been working with the Linking Ring for a long time, and you had you're working with Sammy Patrick Smith. Exactly what is your role? Do you write articles with them, or how do you go about trying to figure out what's happening? How do you work with Sammy?
Actually, technically, whoops, I'm the assistant.
That was that heavy.
Right. So my official title is the assistant editor of the Linking Ring, and I've been doing things for the Linking Ring for 25 years or so. And I do a little bit of everything. Sometimes I'm editing, sometimes I'm copy editing, sometimes I'm writing articles, other times review. I mean, I've been doing, I think I'm the, in fact I am the longest tenured reviewer for the Lincoln Ring in 24 and a half years. And so I do a little bit of everything, which is kind of fun. Thank you very much. Because there isn't a job there, going back to Phil Wilmarth, that I haven't done at some point. Just like my journalism career, it started on the radio in Eagle Pass when I was 15 years old, and there isn't a job in a newsroom that I haven't done except design a website. That's not my thing.
But you've done a little bit of everything else. Again, starting, you had gone to Texas A&M in journalism school.
Right.
Is that right? Yep. There we go.
Member of the Aggie Band.
And so, yeah, I sent both my boys there for 7 years each.
I knew
So
you
they
were
should be
smart.
And so, yeah, we got a Wells wing there somewhere. So, in doing that, you go back and you actually help journalists as a visiting professor, I guess, from time to time?
Not just journalists and magicians. This morning I get to talk to the Willard Group about evoking connections, and that is a way, actually it's an Emmy Award-winning style of writing where you can quickly connect with an audience using 6 emotions that are just universal.
And what are those 6 emotions?
So it's anger, fear, sadness, happiness, awe, and hope. If you touch on one of those emotions, not only are you going to connect through magic, it's the way we connect through everything. Whether you realize it or not, you're doing it. And what I'm trying to do when I'm connecting with you is trying to create images in your head that you're going to relate to.
For example.
Okay.
For example.
Okay, so if I were to say to you that there was a fire at an apartment complex here in Fort Worth, 200 people are homeless and 2 people died, I could say that. That's not a problem. But if I said, that's right, but if I said 5-year-old Trixie and her teddy bear don't have a place to stay tonight, her apartment complex burned down, 200 of her neighbors are homeless and 2 people died, which of the 2 are you going to remember? Right? Now, there's even another way of doing it, and that would be saying something like, flames swept through an apartment complex. 200 people are homeless, 2 people died, and the heat was so intense, it melted the aluminum chairs in the community center. Same information, 3 different ways. Why? Because it's 3 different audiences. The first simple version would be for an audience first thing in the morning, because they're getting dressed, they're getting ready to go to work, they kind of want to know what's going on, more the weather than the news, but it's important, right? The teddy bear would probably go at noon, because that's where you have the largest female audience. And then the last version would go at 6 and 11. And the point of that is you have to make whatever you do, whether it's magic or journalism or any kind of storytelling or story writing, relevant to your audience by making it a frame of reference for them. What you think and what you believe are actually irrelevant. It's about your audience in order to connect with them.
Yeah, and I see that we've got a green light. We'll connect some more if you want to hang around for the next segment over here.
My pleasure.
He brought some candy. For all of us, for the group.
Very, very poised.
I can't say that. Because I'm the host and
Yeah, I know you
contest, I can't.
It's all right. That's my thing.
So,
see, reviewing all the time. I mean, it just
that's right. This is just natural for you then. You had mentioned before, when you open your speeches and you talk to people, there is a memorized thing, and I think it's phenomenal, the way you worked this out over 2 years. Do you mind repeating that to the group over here?
No.
That tells you a lot about you then also.
For the last 48 years, I've traveled the world as a journalist. I've been shot at, actually shot at a few times. I've been stalked by a satanic cult, followed by communist spies. I've gone toe-to-toe with gangbangers. And I've also had serial killers and murderers who tell me that I'm at the top of their kill list if they ever get out of jail. I've interviewed kings and queens, presidents, sports stars, movie stars, and men on the street. I've interviewed everyone from the head of the Church of Satan to Mother Teresa. I've seen some things that have fascinated me, terrified me, and mystified me. And that's what I want to share with you today. A little history, a little mystery, and a little magic. How about that?
Nice. That's the way you open a show. That gets attention and provokes an emotion, right?
In 45 seconds.
Right.
So in 45 seconds, you know who I am. You know the name of my company, and I absolutely guarantee you, you're hooked. Something I said will have piqued your interest, and that's all I need. Just pique your interest a little bit, and I can take you the rest of the way.
And so I wanted him to tell us all that then, again, because that's something that we ought to think about in our own presentations, about how that perhaps we can get people interested in what we're about to say, rather than saying, I have these 3 pieces of rope, and one long and one short. There needs to be a story or something to invest. The people will be willing to invest their time in the story you're about to tell them. And from what he's saying, that does answer those why questions. Why are you doing this? And why should they spend their time to watch this? Right?
Right. So when I try to communicate with you, even if I'm just communicating with you one-on-one, I'm looking for some common ground. We all do it, whether we think about it, right? So this kind of communication is called evocative communication. At least that's what I call it, and that's what I teach my journalism students, CEOs, marketing groups. I've done this for 30 years, and What Emmy's doing it, along with a lot of other awards. And so evocative, of course you can, because you're much better at it than I am. Okay, so evocative communication means I'm giving you something that you're going to hold on to, whereas provocative communication is a transitory something that in the moment it's going to wow, but it's probably going to fade away. So if you're always trying to evoke an emotion rather than provoke an emotion, you're generally going to leave a memory. The other thing is, when you evoke an emotion, you can communicate better. Because when you provoke somebody, like in a discussion, just an everyday discussion, whether it's politics or biology or whatever you want to talk about, anytime you provoke something, it's not generally good. It's a one-way street as opposed to a two-way street where you're evoking an emotion.
And before you leave, and we just have limited time with each of the guests that we're going to be speaking with here this morning, this afternoon, this was a fascinating story about how you got involved in magic and the first time you performed, and this is a really great story, you guys.
All right, so I was on air for 16 years, both in radio at WI in San Antonio, KSL in Salt Lake City, and then in San Francisco, and then I decided to go into management. And I missed being on air, and I got an opportunity by a guy named Ed Thomas, who some of you may know, who took me to the Magic Castle, and I got to see Johnny Thompson and Pam do the great Tomzoni. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I remember their act, right?
And then I got to come behind the scenes and meet them, along with Mark Wilson, who, being from Texas, it was like, wow, right? Our age group, who was not totally in love with Nani, and still am, by the way, back then especially, right? So a few weeks later, I got this the Mark Wilson course in magic signed by Mark and stuff. And my interest wasn't so much performing, it was more studying and history and stuff. So I'm launching my third network in Spain, and I'm having dinner at a place called La Cava, which was literally a cave underground that had terrific steaks. And there was a woman behind me, an elderly woman with her 3 adult daughters. So she dropped her cane, and being the Aggie and the way I was brought up, I of course got up and picked up the cane and gave it to her. And she said, "Do you do magic?" And I said, "No." The reason she said it is I had a Robert Giobbi book in front of me that was written in Spanish and a deck of cards. That's why she asked the question. And I said, no. She was insistent. So I took the plunge and I did 3 effects for her. now, keep in mind, I'd never performed. And secondly, I'm translating from English into Spanish for her. Okay, now English is my second language. When I started in school, all I spoke was Spanish. And I think in Spanish, but it's still translating English actions into Spanish. So we got through all of it, everything worked. I was a happy camper, finished my steak, and I started to walk out of the restaurant. One of her daughters walked up to me and said, "Thank you." And I said, "Oh, no, thank you. I got to perform for someone. It's the first time I'd ever done it." She said, "No, you don't understand. My mother is dying. This is her favorite restaurant, and now I can remember her laughing and having a good time." So in that moment, I went from just kind of an interest in magic to deciding I was going to be a magician. And being who I am and the kind of ego from Texas that I have, I called Juan Tavariz, doesn't know me from Adam, Rafael Benatar, doesn't know me from Adam, and said, "This happened to me, I want to be a magician." And they met with me. Man, when I looked, I couldn't even do a double lift, guys. Okay. And they took pity on me, and we had coffee, and Raphael started mentoring me. And that son of a gun, the first thing he teaches me is a Pharaoh shuffle. Think about this, okay? I can barely do a ruffle shuffle, much less a Pharaoh shuffle. Years later, I asked them about that, and they had a very interesting comment. They said, "You're right, it was bad." But it was really clear to us that you were not going to be denied. And so we wanted you to learn from the best, and that's us.
It's something that you can tell has been a number of years that you have developed that, and it's a very touching story. Well, listen, we have a green light ready for our next guest. So let's give a round of applause. We were at a stage contest here today for the TAOM, and I thought it would be kind of interesting not only to talk with my good friend and practically a sister is Trixie Bond, but also because that she is performing and going to be doing something tonight and tomorrow that you do not want to miss. If we have time, we're going to get to that. But I first of all wanted just to talk a little bit about when you first entered, because you're a stage contestant winner yourself.
I was. I think I entered the contest in 1968 for the first time is when I competed. And won. Competed again in 69, didn't win, at the age of Aquarius, and in 1970 and 71, both of those.
Wow.
Yeah, as a junior.
As a junior, that's right. Did you ever compete as a senior?
No.
Okay,
no.
well, you've already won junior.
Yeah, so.
That's right. You've already proven yourself, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
One of the things that she's going to be talking about then this evening is about Texas magicians who have passed from our past. One of whom starts off with Willard the Wizard, and you were on stage with Willard the Wizard, is that right?
Yes, yes. Well, I've been coming to TAOM conventions since before I was born.
How many can say that? How many would want to say that?
My father was a 65-year-old member, 65 years. He belonged to this organization for 65 years, yes. And so I was in utero when I attended my first convention and performed on stage in 1957. Well, assisted, not performed, assisted someone that was performing here. So over the years, this has been my family growing up. I mean, I had lots of fathers in this organization, and my friends, all my friends are magicians for you know, most of them, I guess 85%. And I know personal stories about all these magicians, what's happened over the years. And I don't want to give it too away, but...
I'm not going to give too much away, but in fact, we're not even going to talk about that because I see we got the green light. You're going to come back in just a moment. We'll finish the second part so you can think about what you can tell and talk about for tonight. So we'll kind of tease you a little bit and introduce our next guest. And thank you, Trixie, very much. Again, Trixie Bond. I've been magicwordpodcast.com that you can find, and we have daily updates that we do when I attend magic conventions. And this is my 7th one for this year. I've got one more to go later this year, so you follow my exploits a little bit.
So how many conventions have you done this year? I mean, name them. I know FISM, IBM,
Right.
SAM. Did you go to that one?
I did not go to the SAM, but I was at Magic Live.
Okay.
Yep. I was one of the her attendee, or two. To Colin, to have us get together. Yes, you had COVID, and you didn't go to COVID, so you missed that one, unfortunately.
Thank you, Quebec.
That's right. I've attended all these conventions. Thankfully, I've not been infected or haven't got anything. I'm able to hug people and shake hands with thousands of magicians around the world, and so it's thankful that I haven't had that, knock on wood, I guess, so far and everything. But yeah, there are a lot of conventions that I've attended, and also this last week I was at the Pose Magic Conference in Baltimore, which was phenomenal, and humbly I received the Blackstone Award. First time, and it was in recognition of. They said Blackstone had a strong voice, Blackstone Senior and Junior, from the stage to be able to speak to large audiences, and the fact that I have a podcast that speaks to large audiences around the world.
I'm curious about that Poe. Was it
Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe?
Right.
what'd you do, sit around and recite poetry?
We didn't. He was a great storyteller, much like Stephen King is today, and he was more macabre, and the same thing like with storytelling, that just what Rolando was talking about a little bit earlier, the importance of storytelling in order to elicit or evoke emotions, and that was what I was talking about, because it started off at the Invocation many years ago in Chicago with Tony Andruzzi, and you're going to be talking about Tony Andruzzi a little bit later, and that has a fascinating history. You want to tip any of that at all? Or?
Well, Tony Andruzzi was also known, his real name was Tom Palmer, and he was a Texan, married to Gloria Palmer, or Gloria Markham, as many of us know her. Vampira. And he might or might not have been involved in the JFK assassination.
Or the conspiracy goes, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be highlighting the controversy with magicians in the JFK assassination. And I did my speech at the Collectors Conference this past April. And I had a number of people come up and fill in some of the blanks. And this story is growing and growing.
Unfortunately, as people, we talk, well, sorry about the JFK.
JFK,
That's right, we just received new information.
Right.
Yeah.
And from Gay Blackstone.
That's right.
So,
Right, Pastor. You'll hear about it tonight.
yes.
We're not going to go much further because I see we've got the green light
Okay.
over here. Just be sure that you catch that. What time is that tonight? 9 o'clock? 10 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
That'll be here in this room, I believe.
Yes, with the, it is PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Oh, you're green.
We hope, yes, we hope to have a good monitor so you can be able to see this, because the graphics and the videos that we're going to be showing, including some of her.
Over 275 slides in PowerPoint. But don't worry, it's not boring.
No.
No.
3 hours will go by like a minute. Yeah.
It's got some animation, it moves, so it's just like, so,
I'll be
thanks to
handling
you.
that. I'll be pushing the buttons, and I'll be pushing
Yeah.
your buttons saying, move on. Just like they're telling me then right now.
All right,
Then.
let's move.
Thank you, Trixie Bond. Not just this convention, but again, like we did with Trixie, being someone who has been in contests, and not just in stage contests, but also close-up, and one of the perennial competitors. We've got with us one of the performers and competitors not competing this year, Jay Zuga. Hey, Jay.
Hey, how you guys? First of all, thank you for inviting me up here after talking to the two most intelligent people in the room. Makes me feel good.
You're from Abilene, right?
Yes, I am.
By your accent.
Yeah.
Now, you've been working with Eli, your dog, for quite a while, is that right?
Yeah, Eli is actually 10 years old, and we've been doing this.
They have a lot in common.
Yeah, we're both old timers.
And you both get in the doghouse.
And we both have gotten in the doghouse, and that is most sort of. In fact, it's kind of amazing. You guys get to see Eli tomorrow night. When my wife first brought him home, I didn't even want him, and
Well, she wasn't too sure about you either.
well, I just replace one dog for another. That's the way my wife looks at it. You know. Anyway, I got started in magic. I guess when I was about 11 years old, and I watched the Mark Wilson show. I guess it was called Alakazam?
Yeah.
Okay,
Everybody knows but you.
Okay, that's right. Well, I told you I'm not the most intelligent one in the room. Anyway, after the show, if you guys always remember, he would always show everybody how to make a trick. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I would go through and I would construct that trick, and I spent time practicing it, and I took it to school to show one of my friends, and they said, I saw that last night, on TV. Heck, we only had 2 stations, so and that was one of the stations that they watched. In fact, I got to meet Mark Wilson in person in the year 2000, and I got him to autograph the book. And it was because of him that I got started. And I want you guys to know, my first magic act, I still have one item out of it, the prayer vase, but whenever I was doing my first magic show as 11 years old, I screwed it up royally. Everybody was laughing, so I called it comedy magic, First fool you know,
say that.
And that's that's how I got my start. I had to actually read books, you know, to learn magic tricks back then, which was kind of difficult to do. I mean,
Being from Abilene.
being from Abilene, a small town, that's right. And I've been doing this. I've been working restaurants. I've done trade shows. I'm currently the West Texas Fair and Rodeo Magician in Abilene. I'll be working there for 6 months. And I actually, you know, the people who really enjoy the magic the most at the fair are people that are waiting in line for a ride. Oh my gosh, they just eat it up. And we'll be doing a couple of shows there at the West Texas Fair on September 11th, which actually happens to be National Grandparents' Day. So that's the time to get with your kids. I'll be doing one magic show, like at 3, and then I'll be doing a show with Eli at 7.
Well, there you go. And there we go. Have Jay Zugai. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
All right, we have then another guest right now while we are waiting for the stage to be set. Someone, gosh, got a table. This guy also is known for his table. Please welcome Losan. You can have a seat right here next to me. That's right, my friend. That's right. So everybody can see us. That way we don't have to take up much time for striking the set or anything. And speaking of the set, one of the reasons I want to talk with you is because you have your own theater now. I was recently in Las Vegas, going to spend the month of June and visit with you and all my friends. And so tell people who haven't had a chance to go to Vegas recently about your where it is and everything.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, my theater is directly on the Strip, 810 South Las Vegas Boulevard. Very intimate place because I got the idea many years ago, because whenever you travel like me, on the biggest stage in the world, you see there's always one problem. The real excitement is in the front rows, you know what I mean? So I created a theater which is very intimate, almost like a living room type style situation with nice couches and all that stuff. And so far, we're the only 5-star show in Las Vegas.
Free popcorn and
Free popcorn.
And it's not just you. Luna also has been performing there.
Yeah, and a couple other magicians every once in a while pop in. But yeah, so yeah, we rotate acts a little bit, but mainly it's me.
And so it is downtown area, and there's parking on the street and outside areas.
No, there's actually free parking directly behind the building. So
And what time is it 2 shows in the evening or just 1? You have
no,
2.
we have like many shows, but not all the time are the shows fully booked. So we have like 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10.
And an amazing thing I think about your show is how that it is so original. First of all, you have a lot of original props. He is the master of levitation, as he's been well known. Universally known. And he is able to present a lot of really, as I said, all original types of things with your chain thumb tie and whatnot, that you also have some of these things that are available for sale at your dealers group then as well.
Pretty much all of it.
Yeah. Why you're at? You're saying pretty much?
Yes.
I do like the intimacy of it, and yet it is a stage show in which that everybody can come up and I say come up, they can come right in these couches and then also into the chairs and sit and watch it. So it is just a lot of fun. So where can they get tickets? How can they find out more about that one?
Online is the best.
Which is?
It's like
What's the website?
the website is LasVegasMagicTheaterShop.com.
Las Vegas Magic Theater, and that's ER or RE?
ER.
Okay.
Shop.com.
Shop.com. There you go. And also, I got the green light then already, and you don't want to miss, Will Sander is going to be giving a lecture then at 1 o'clock. I believe that's going to be in the lecture hall next door where we had last evening with Bronson Chadwick, and we had Jeanette then also. So please give a round of applause again for We have one more act coming up next, but before we bring him out, I want to bring out our next guest, who is someone else from Las Vegas. We just talked with Losander, someone who is also a dealer and a good friend of mine, and someone that you should get to know, certainly, Lynetta Welch. Here she is. Here she is. So Lynetta Welch is from Las Vegas, as I mentioned, and also it's interesting that you're such good friends with Lupe, and Lupe is a woodworker, and you are a fabric manipulator.
Yes.
So tell us, what is a fabric manipulator?
I manipulate fabric.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much.
No, I specialize in all things that have to do with fabric and magic. So any tricks or apparatus or anything like that, that's what I focus on.
Like if you have a prop or something, for an example, in which that it needs to be recovered, or something that has gotten old, or perhaps if you're a collector and want to brush up something, make it new again?
Make it new again, or if you have, a lot of people come to me who have an idea for something and they don't know quite how to make it work. And so we get together and I can normally figure out exactly how to make it.
Well, she's going to be talking, tomorrow's your lecture?
Yeah,
That's
tomorrow's
right.
my lecture.
But she's going to be talking mainly about egg bags, is that right?
No, tomorrow my lecture is the history of fabric and magic.
Oh.
Now, some people may go, that's kind of boring. It's not, I promise. I promise it's not.
Anything she has to say is not boring.
It's actually really fun. So please come tomorrow at 10 a.m. and see what I
Entertaining
do.
and educational as well.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah, and I have a lot of fun things. I even have Johnny Thompson's tailcoat and everything.
Is his original egg bag?
I do have his original egg
Right.
bag. Yeah, I even have Martin Lewis's original egg bag. I had introduced Martin at Magic Live one year, and afterwards he said, I want to give you a gift. And you're going to hear this repeated tomorrow. But he gave me this egg bag, and it was the first one his mother ever made for him, and she had gone in her closet and got a scarf out of her closet, and that's what she made the bag.
And the
out of.
scarf was kind of a tartan plaid.
It's a tartan plaid, yeah, because his is a Mardo.
Right, the Mardo egg bag, which is different with the slit, it's on the side.
It's in the middle. It's
In the pattern.
Yeah, it's in the pattern, and so in the middle of the bag, it opens up, and half the bag is open.
Right. And the kinds of things that you make, and I have several of the things I recommend are double tank, and I just got the last of the Crown Royal bags, the change bags, because I got a great routine from Christopher Carter, who's going to be on, by the way, next year at the TAOM in Houston. But also other kinds of things that you have for sale. What are a couple of things you got just real quick?
My bottle gizmo, which is used for producing a bottle. That's actually not made out of fabric. It's made out of a wire. I have a ball holder. I had more things. I have devil's tank.
You've been busy making a lot of stuff the last couple of days, you said.
I have been sewing and sewing and sewing. I thought my fingers were going to fall off. And I'll be going back home on Monday and start making more. I sit and so
you'll be taking some orders. I will say, by the way, and then we're going to have to go for our last person over here for the last act, but how that you were one of the guest directors or teachers, I guess, last week on David Sandy's Magic Collectors Corner, which is on Facebook, which I would encourage you, if you're interested, to go back and listen to this, which that we go, it's in your home, I assume, is where that
yeah, we're in the living room. Yeah.
Right. And you had taken out all of these, you had Johnny's jacket as well as all these egg bags to talk about the history of the egg bag and how did it start in the slit to then the rounded corner, etc.
Yeah. It's quite a history, and the bag that I made, there's a history to it, and that's why I call it the Legacy Malini egg bag, because Malini made it, and people don't know this, but Malini didn't tell anybody how his bag worked. Even the person who made his bags, he would have them make the bag, and they literally made a bag. There was no gimmicks or anything to it. And then when Malini got the bag himself, he would then cut the pocket in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So even the person who made his bags didn't know how the trick worked. But the only person he shared that with was Charlie Miller. And then with Charlie Miller, he and Johnny Thompson got together, and they worked and really perfected the same bag. The oversized pocket, the rounded corners, the size, all of it, fabric, all of it.
It's fascinating.
So then Charlie gave that to Johnny, and then Johnny gave it to me.
It's interesting also in talking about the types of fabric that you use as opposed to, let's say, Jeff Hobson's egg bag, which for certain reasons that he uses the stiffer material.
Yeah, I like the breakability to the fabric.
Looks like there's nothing there then.
That's how I feel about it. And I also like single color for a bag.
Did I say Jeff Hobson?
You said Jeff Hobson.
I think it's Hobson. I like the single color because it doesn't scream that there's a lining to the bag. It just looks like it's, two pieces of fabric sewn together.
Okay.
And so I like the simplicity of that. And I don't know, it's really magical.
Right. What time is your lecture tomorrow afternoon?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, so
Yeah.
be sure and make that, because I will be in the corporate room across from the hall over there. For those of you who might have come in late, I'll be doing an in-depth conversation with Jeanette Andrews, sorry, Jeanette. I might have blanked there for a minute. Jeanette Andrews, and so we can kind of see how the sausage is made, which I'm going to be recording an episode for an upcoming broadcast on the podcast, so you can listen to that. And that'll be in the smaller room, so we'll be able to accommodate everybody, so first come, first serve to listen to that, and then immediately thereafter.
Everybody's welcome to my lecture.
Unlimited room for my friend.
I don't think anybody else.
We are now wrapping up our stage contest. Sorry to have made this so long, but I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of some of the conversations we've had with me, and I hope you enjoy and continue to listen, and also tell your friends and family and other magicians to listen to them as well to themagicwordpodcast.com. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts, quite literally anywhere. If you don't know how, let me know. We'd better talk to you. Now let's finish with this is the best way to finish with the last.